Hey, welcome Broken World Entertainment. And Wonder Woman 3 seems to be officially happening, as Patty Jenkins has revealed the last scene of Wonder Woman 3 has already been written. And she teases more films to come. So, Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins gave a huge update on the third installment, which may not be the end. Words are hard. In terms of what Warner Brothers wants to be done with the character under the Discovery regime. Oh my. Jenkins was at the Matera, I believe it's Matera, or Matera, film festival, never heard of it. And she revealed where things stand with the film in the middle of the turmoil at Warner Brothers Discovery that already claimed a few projects made production, but Wonder Woman 3 has fortune shining on it more than Batgirl and won't be one of those casualties. Probably because it hasn't filmed, so they don't see that it's trash. As Jenkins tells an interviewer and an audience in a sit-down chat after a screening, I just wrote last week the final scene for Wonder Woman 3, and I thought I'd be interested to see what happens next. So we know her heart and mind might be in it enough for a follow-up to the trilogy, or it sounds that way on the surface. They continue. She could simply be responding to orders passed down from the upper echelons of the studio, maybe David Zaslav himself. Jenkins then says, they have asked us to think of ways to do more, and it accidentally happens. But you never know, Jenkins added. I have a lot of other films I'm excited to do as well. And they write down this. That may be so, but one of those films won't be Star Wars Rogue Squadron. That film was yanked from her grasp. Yes, it absolutely was. So, Wonder Woman 3 was glowingly greenlit as soon as Wonder Woman 1984 was released in late 2020. Though that film underperformed, even with a low bar set by pandemic lockdown restrictions, Zaslav isn't trying to tinker with the progress of the Amazonian heroine's third installment. What else do they say? They end it with saying, if the consistent drips and drabs of signs he is restoring the Snyderverse means anything, from continued reshoots for The Flash and Aquaman The Last Kingdom to the returns of Ben Affleck, probably Henry Cavill, the CEO looks more like he is welcoming the latest entry in the Wonder Woman franchise. The thing to keep in mind with Wonder Woman 3 is just how much of the story and control will Patty Jenkins have. Don't mind, obviously she's a good director, she directed the first movie. The first movie's great. A lot of people have an issue with the third act and think it doesn't stick to landing. I'm fine with the third act. Yeah, it's a bit kind of shaky compared to the rest of the film, but I still think it worked. And a lot of people, and as it says there, 1984 underperformed. The pandemic obviously didn't help, lockdowns didn't help that. But there was just a bit of a negative response to it. I don't hate it. It's definitely nowhere near the standard that the first movie was. But that was the one movie where Jenkins was just like given full control. Like, she just went to town with everything. Where I would hope this one would be, don't take it off her, don't take the story off her and stuff, but give her some help with the structure of the script and stuff. Kind of keep it more in line. Uh, she never says when it's meant to be set. So obviously we were in World War One in the first one, 1984 obviously in the second one. I would assume the next one would be set in present day. I think the reason they kind of try and avoid doing that is because they don't want people's expectations of seeing Batman or Superman or Aquaman or anything like that in there. You don't have to put them in there. The one thing I will say, I don't want Chris Pine to be back for the third one. You know, he was great as Steve Trevor in the first one. It was weird having him back in the second one, but I definitely don't want him back in the next one. But this movie, don't forget, this movie also was delayed because Patty Jenkins was meant to do Star Wars. And of course that all went belly up. No doubt because Patty Jenkins was writing it as a tribute to her father, who was a fighter pilot, I believe. Because she says in that promo video to announce the movie that she's always wanted to somehow do a fighter pilot movie to honour her father and a sci-fi movie, and now she had the best of both worlds because it was Star Wars. And obviously I would say that she very much was, I wanted to be this type of character, and Kathleen Kennedy probably walked in and said, no, make it female. And Jenkins was probably like, no. And that's where that all went belly up. So it seems to be now back on track, I assume. There doesn't seem to be any schedule for when it's going to start filming or anything, so I would assume it would probably be late next year. You know, you're probably looking at around August or September of next year before it films. But anyway, it's official. Wonder Woman 3 is on its way, with Patty Jenkins writing and Gal Gadot returning. So, with that, I'll leave it there for this one. Cheers. Catch you in the next.